Again, welcome everyone to our webinar within our Interact project SMERF on digital manufacturing. Today we will have a variety of talks, also some videos about our project, about the platform that we are providing within our project. And first of all, that you know a little bit more about SMERF, I would like to start with a short introductory video from the leader of our consortium, and I will just start that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mateusz Molasy. I'm the member of Lead Partners team from Wrocław University of Science and Technology, and it's my pleasure to present the project. In the European Union, small and medium-sized enterprises represent about 99% of businesses. However, SMEs, especially in Central Europe, are struggling with the negative socio-economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic, climate change-related challenges, demographic trends, migration. In our research, we found that there is a low level of innovation and adaptation of new technologies, as well as new business concepts and models in Central European countries. Many firms in Central Europe do not yet have sufficient capacities to adopt those new concepts and models. We found that the digitalization of businesses in Central Europe is below the EU average, and there is a particular need to support SMEs in adopting digital technologies. We found that while circularity is increasing in Europe, many regions are still lagging behind the EU average, particularly in Slovakia, Croatia, Poland, Hungary. We found that Central Europe exhibits low cooperation between major companies and startups, which could hinder the modernization of existing business processes and the introduction of innovative solutions. And finally, there are still unpredictable changes in the environment. Already mentioned pandemic, disrupted supply chains, accelerating and unpredictable development of AI, rapid climate change associated with global warming, demographic trends, population migrations, and so on. So SMEs are faced with the necessity of effectively adopting new market and social concepts and models. However, there is a lack of knowledge in this area, lack of human capital with appropriate competencies, lack of good practices, lack of organizational and managerial capabilities. Also, governments need to create the optimal conditions for individuals to start and grow a business. The project focuses on supporting low-tech and medium-tech SMEs transition toward SMEs ready for the future, supporting their transformation towards readiness for future challenges. Our aim is to support over 160 SMEs by creating individual transformation scenarios based on assessment of their level of advancement in each pillar with the use of functionality of the expert system that we are developing. The tool will be called SMERF Diagnosis Tool. The project creates an approach by linking concurrently 4 pillars based on new concepts and models. The goals of interregional cooperation include creating an innovation-friendly culture, often underestimated in SMEs, accelerating or implementing digitalization in manufacturing, initiating or improving organizations' openness and encouraging them to adopt open innovation to zero tools and methods, including implementing the sharing economy concept in business, and implementing solutions and best practices in line with the Green Deal and circular economy principles, as well as sustainability. Each of our webinars is dedicated to one of those pillars. The outputs of the project should help SMEs to effectively transform and adopt innovative approaches. Moreover, we aim at providing new services to higher education institutions and intermediaries. Intermediaries we define as organizations either directly enhancing innovations development by providing support to SMEs or entities closely cooperating with companies on innovations development. So entities that will enhance competencies of SMEs and equally support them in 7 regions of Central Europe in their transformation journey. The project is based on the quintuple helix innovation model approach that focuses on the collaboration between academia, civil society, government, industry, and natural environment in fostering innovation. Innovation is seen here as emerging from interactions and collaborations among these 5 stakeholders. Well, what does it mean? The consortium is composed of 8 project partners from 7 Central European countries. The main idea behind the partnership structure is 4+4 rule, meaning we have 4 representatives of higher education institutions, that is Wrocław University of Science and Technology, Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, University of Genova from Italy, and Technical University of Košice from Slovakia, and on the other side 4 representatives of intermediaries. That is Business Upper Austria, that is Center of Research and Technological Innovation from Italy, that is Pannon Business Network Association from Hungary, and Stepri Science and Technology Park from Croatia. Our financing is 2.49 million euros funded from Interreg Central Europe program. What actions will we take? Well, first of all, we are developing inspiration knowledge base, online knowledge repository that combines both theory and also real-world practice. Inside, you will find the best practices, success stories, and insights revolving around the 4 pillars of the project. Ready for future audit methodology, this involves developing an audit framework, methodology and measurement system to help us determine the readiness level of small and medium-sized enterprises across these crucial 4 pillars. Moving on to the SMERF diagnosis tool, here we are assessing where SMEs stand across those pillars and then tailoring individual transformation scenarios for them. We're talking about at least 160 SMEs here. These scenarios aren't just about diagnosis, they offer actionable recommendations for organizational changes with those pillars, along with practical methods and solutions to help SMEs level up. Finally, SMERF trainings for mentors. These sessions will be dedicated for universities and business organizations keen on leveraging the SMERF tool effectively. We will introduce the SMERF Individual Support Program, a tailored support initiative designed around the SMERF diagnosis tool and the specific needs of SMEs. Within this program, companies will have access to 2 main types of support. Firstly, personalized mentorship programs featuring experienced mentors who will assist in developing detailed implementation plans for transformation and offer guidance on initial steps. And secondly, consultations with experts that will provide additional insights and support. Next on our agenda is the Inno Green Market Initiative. This involves facilitating 16 study visits for SMEs, treating them as service or product providers to connect with larger companies treated as service or product recipients. The goal here is to foster an exchange of experience and cultivate collaboration. Large companies will present their needs, while SMEs will showcase their services, gaining valuable insights into why transitioning towards SMERF is beneficial for them. Lastly, we have the behind-the-scenes workshop for policymakers. This aims to transfer best practices from more innovative regions such as Germany and Austria to less innovative ones like Poland, Croatia, Italy, Slovakia, and Hungary. It is dedicated effort targeting local and regional public authorities and business support organizations, aiming to empower them with insights to drive innovation and growth in their respective areas. At the end, let's look at our project's timeline. Our project began in April 2023. In the first year of project duration, we were focusing on research to define the SMERF concept. We developed a transformation process and built inspiration knowledge base that we are still updating. By April 2025, we will develop the SMERF diagnosis tool and support over 160 SMEs with individualized transformation scenarios based on their progress in each pillar. And in our final year, ending in April 2026, we will consolidate results, offer trainings for universities and business environment institutions, facilitate mentioned study visits, provide advanced support programs for over 24 SMEs. These programs will include mentoring, consultations with experts, and so on. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that webinar will be interesting for you.
Okay, now that you know about the general idea of our SMERF project, of course, we would like to move forward in presenting the contents of the pillar digital manufacturing, but we don't just want to present you stuff, talk to you, and you don't have anything to interact with. So we have planned 2 interactive sessions, and one of them will be starting right now. So I will hand over to Laura, which will introduce the interactive part, the first interactive part of this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, Tobias, for the word. So I will pin a message to the chat now with instructions to follow for the Kahoot session. I will share my screen and I will begin it shortly. I hope you can see my screen. Okay, so everyone can join with the pin on the screen and their name, and I will wait for 1 or 2 minutes so everyone can join. So while we wait shortly, I will repeat the following. So there will be 2 questions. One will be open question where you can enter any idea on your mind up until 250 characters, and you will have 90 seconds to finish it. Then the second question will be just a simple yes or no. And then we will get the results, and then there will be another session at the end of the webinar. Okay, I will just wait for like 30 seconds and then I think we can start. Okay, I'm gonna start the session now. So here is on the left you can see the timeline, so you still have 80 seconds to respond. And here I can see if anyone has already put their answer. So far there is none. Okay, we have one. Okay, so we're getting better. We'll almost have 10 answers. And you still have 25 seconds to respond. Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay, we're done. Okay, we can see the interesting answers. Great. We'll go to the next question, which is just a simple yes or no. Great. Much to improve then. Okay, that's all for the first session. So I will leave it to Tobias now to continue.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laura. I would like to share my presentation with you, which is now currently not showing up here. Let me quickly. Okay, so let's see if it's now going to work. I'm sorry, I can't find my window at the moment. So okay, now it's working. Okay, so I hope you can see my presentation now.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, perfect. We've seen that the people that joined our webinar have a certain impression of what digital manufacturing is, what kind of parts digital manufacturing circumstances are involved there. So, but I would like to go a little bit more into detail for the general perception of what digital manufacturing is. So when I thought about how digital manufacturing is perceived in the more public opinion, I was thinking about some key phrases, let's say. One of them would be maybe robots. So robots involved in a manufacturing process and doing some automation. The other one that is immediately coming to my mind is, maybe because I'm dealing with it a lot, is additive manufacturing, which is a key enabling technology that has grown a lot within the last few years. Maybe something that is also coming more into public perception is the presence of artificial intelligence and how that can be applied, maybe not as much for the manufacturing part nowadays, but it becomes more obvious that this is a very important technology of the future. Virtual reality is also something a lot of people have heard of, have seen, maybe on fairs and technology programs. Then, of course, human-robot interaction or human-machine interaction is something that immediately springs to my mind. For example, a very general example of when I bought some asparagus last week, it was brought to me by a robot within this, more farming-oriented business that I was visiting. And something that has shown up in your answers as well, and is maybe one of the more well-known phrases, is Industry 4.0. So the connection of manufacturing steps, including sensors, including a lot of data that is gathered on the manufacturing processes and how they are involved. But before we really dive deep into digital manufacturing, maybe it is good to first define what digital manufacturing actually is. And what is shown here is one of the definitions that shows up when you type in digital manufacturing and you search for it on Google. So it says that is a combination of intelligent and networked methods, processes, and tools that enable a more flexible and human-centered production, thus increasing economic efficiency and strengthening the competitiveness. So that is one of the definitions of digital manufacturing that is given when you look for it online. In terms of SMERF, we have a, let's say, more broader view, because what is important for our project is what current practices are actually implemented nowadays within SMEs, but also larger companies that maybe SMEs can take up on. How can the business goals that an SME has can actually be connected with the implementation of digital manufacturing solutions? What kind of barriers and enablers are in the way or can help SMEs to take up digital manufacturing? And how can this readiness for digital manufacturing be enhanced? And with regard to how can this be enhanced, how can we as a project support that enhancement process? So what we did is we came up with a number of features, or we defined a number of features that, in our opinion, defines a SME that is ready for the future in terms of digital manufacturing. So in our case, we think that a SME that is ready for the future in terms of digital manufacturing is a company that is aware of the potential that the digitization of the manufacturing processes actually gives them. And it's proactive in adopting such technologies or emerging technologies to really stay up to trend and to be on the forefront of industrial trends to stay competitive. Also, what could be the next step in that is that the company has embraced and already integrated some of the advanced technologies and digital solutions into the manufacturing process, but maybe does not use it to the whole potential that they have. Also, one of the aims that these companies have is to really improve the competitiveness and to learn and combine about these technologies and to see how they can adapt them within their company. So the key takeaways that I would say with the pillar of digital manufacturing for a SME that is ready for the future is to interconnect the current assets that they have or future assets into a digital ecosystem, which will help them to stay competitive. Also, it could mean to implement new technologies or even just more sensor technology in their existing equipment to get data and to automate processes or even singular process steps, which will also make them more competitive. Overall, this means production operations can be optimized, better business value can be generated, but also social requirements should be reflected. So in terms of automation, for example, how that affects the workforce of a company. So that is the overall general scope that we have within the pillar of digital manufacturing. And now I will hand over to our expert talk for today, which will be given by Mr. Martin Lundborg, who is the head of accompanying research at Mittelstand Digital, which is a program that is funded by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research. And Mr. Lundborg will give us a little bit of an insight into his work and his work with SMEs who are actually dealing with this transformation in digital manufacturing. So Mr. Lundborg, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to present. I think the foreword or the introduction by Tobias was suits well with what I'm going to present. Can you see my presentation? Great. Yes, my name is Martin Lundborg. I have two hats on. I'm working for a research institute as an economist. It's called VIC. We are doing research on digital transformation from a business and economics point of view, and looking on how to promote digital technologies. I'm here today, as Tobias said, for Mittelstand Digital. It's a program funded not by the Ministry for Education, but for the Ministry for Economics. But that's just a small detail. Here I'm responsible for the accompanying research, and we also do public relations work, networking, and I'm representing this network as well. So today I wanted to present our definition and understanding of what digital production, digital manufacturing is. I also wanted to explain what we do at Mittelstand Digital. And at the end, I also have brought with me 5 use cases, which I think is a very good way to show how or what digital manufacturing really is. So what is digital manufacturing and what is the current state in SMEs? So I'm from Germany, and I'm actually originally from Sweden, but I live in Germany for 20 years. And our perspective is also based on this business model which the German economy has. So we are an economy with a lot of so-called hidden champions. We have a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises acting in the field of manufacturing. These are very often family-owned. We have a large number of manufacturing companies with between 50 and 250 employees working in integrated value chains, for instance, for large manufacturing companies like BMW or Daimler or Volkswagen. So this is more or less typical also, or I suppose, the structure you will find in some Eastern European countries, which are also producing parts for the larger OEMs. The German government has started Mittelstand Digital and other programs because we know that the SMEs are really lagging behind the large corporations. So if you look at, for instance, the use of artificial intelligence in Germany, the smallest companies with up to 9 employees, of them only 13% are using AI technologies. If you look at the larger SMEs, like 50 to 250 employees, the statistics says about 15% are using artificial intelligence. But of the large companies, there are 30%, about a third using artificial intelligence. So that's some figures showing how SMEs are lagging behind. This suits good to your question before, if SMEs are lagging behind. I think that's what we see. Problem is also if you compare investments in manufacturing with investments in other areas of the companies. So for manufacturing, we see that the larger companies are investing more, and but it's still something that needs to be improved. I saw figures on investments of that 25% of companies are really investing in digital production, and in marketing and administration is more than 30%. So we also need more activity from the SMEs. They need to scale up their investments. There is, when you come to manufacturing and digitization and digital transformation, there are some things you have to consider when companies are starting to invest. First is you have very long depreciation times. You don't build a factory for 2 years or 3 years. If you buy a machine, it's going to be there for 20 to 30 years. So we have very long investment spans. That's also why it takes longer time for manufacturing to digitize than other sectors. But it also means when companies are investing, they are more cautious. So that's why it takes longer time to convince people or convince companies to invest in digitization when it comes to production. We also have more complexity and also more integration. It's more complex. So and that's why it's difficult and takes time, but we are on the right track. I always like to use this picture because it shows a little bit where the way is going. And on the very left, you have Industry 1.0. That's the production we had 200 years ago. No companies in Europe are on this level. And then you have Industry 2.0 with mass production. Everybody has heard about Ford and his production lines 100 years ago. And then we have Industry 3.0. And that's something that came up last century with automation, computer and electronics. Many robotic companies were founded in the mid-1900s. And here we have a lot of companies of today. So very many of the companies we're working with at Mittelstand Digital, they have some kind of automation, they have machinery, they have computers they are using, but they haven't taken the last step to Industry 4.0. And the difference between 3.0 and 4.0 is that with 4.0, you have all machinery connected to each other. So you connect every machine and every part of your process. You integrate into a digital platform like a manufacturing execution system and MES or the OT, or you connect it with your customers or with your suppliers. So here you have all the IoT equipment, connections and standards, etc. And here we see that companies, on average, they are advancing, but it's still we're still at the beginning. I think the usage of IoT in the German industry is about half of the companies are using IoT, but especially if you go to companies below 200 employees, the usage of IoT is still rather limited. And we also see when the companies are moving from Industry 3.0 to 4.0, the problem is that many companies are still struggling with the ERP systems and MES systems. So they haven't really they have problems really with the connectivity and the basic digital functions in the factory. And the things we're looking at in the future with artificial intelligence, intelligent robotics, etc. These are more of a vision for for the most SMEs, as we know. We also, when we look at Industry 4.0 here in this picture, it's not that clear what it actually is and where we're heading. The term was founded 12 years ago in 2012 on the trade fair in Hanover, as I know it. At the beginning, there was a huge confusion. What is it actually meant to be? And then they started developing some ideas. They come up with the RAMI 4.0 and started to think about standardization. And that's when the administrative asset shell was invented. And now we're creating these standards. When we come to year 2024, we see that we've come pretty far when it comes to standardization. We now have standardization units like IDTA, providing administrative asset shells, which are standards for how to save data and how to store data. And we also have communication interfaces like MQTT and UPCOA. So we start now to have the standards, and we see of the many companies who are now advancing in Industry 4.0, they're actually starting to implement the administrative asset shell. That is, they're now starting to collect and storage the data in a standardized way. And this is very important because first, when I have standardized data, you can exchange the data between machines and with your suppliers and customers. But Industry 4.0 and the standardized exchange of data is not the end. The next step will be the data spaces like Manufacturing X or Catena X. But this is still the future. The prototypes are being developed. So that's nothing that really SMEs have implemented today. This is the vision for the future. But as of today, most companies are still implementing the basic IoT technologies. I will come to some use cases later, which are really showing what I mean by this. So from Tobias, we had a definition for digital manufacturing. Here's the definition from the platform Industry 4.0 from Germany, which is more or less saying the same. Industry 4.0 refers to the intelligent networking of machines and processes for industry with help of ICT. And we have a lot of technologies listed here on the right side. But boiling down to what it really is about, it's about interconnecting and using the data in the production. Yeah. I think important when you look at digital manufacturing to better understand. In our work, we have seen that it's important to think about which roles, because now when we start exchanging data, we're building a complete data layer over the former or the traditional manufacturing. And with this new layer, we get a new ecosystem. And we have three main players in this ecosystem. We have the providers of machinery. These are the ones producing the machines. And they are pretty far when it comes to Industry 4.0. They are now starting rolling out their products with data interfaces and with integrated IoT technology. So if you now want to buy a machine, you can get it from Bosch or Siemens or one of the smaller providers. And there you have the possibility to add digital parts to your machinery when you buy them. But in manufacturing, at least how we see it in Germany, is that every manufacturer is doing his own thing. So you can't just buy a machine, put it in your factory and start producing. Everything is very customized. And therefore we need the integrators. The integrators are those implementing the machines, implementing the software on the shop floor. And at the right side, we have the users, and these are the producing companies. They can produce some parts for the automotive industry, for instance. And these users need the integrators, someone who comes with them and implement everything into the system in the factory. And the digital transformation is very different, advanced in these three companies. The providers are pretty far. The integrators are typically IT companies, which in the manufacturing area, which are really digitized, but the users are mostly on the very beginning of digital transformation. Yeah, I have some data here on digital manufacturing, which we have gathered. It says what I said before. Here it says a survey by the Institut für Mittelstandsforschung that 43% of the companies surveyed see themselves as laggards in the network production. 36% of companies use Internet of Things. That was in 2021. That will be higher now, but we still see about half of the companies not using it. 22% of the SMEs surveyed have clear goals for the Industry 4.0, and this shows also that many companies don't really know what digital in manufacturing really is and what's the future outlook for digital manufacturing. I asked some of my colleagues, some of our experts in Mittelstand Digital, what's the problem, what's the challenges for small and medium-sized enterprises when they want to digitize their manufacturing. And in discussions we had, we found three main issues. You can define them a little bit different, but the first one is human resources. Many small and medium-sized enterprises don't have the skills and the know-how, but also the acceptance of the employees is something we discuss a lot. Many employees in the SMEs are afraid of losing their workplaces, and it's very important to align everything you do with your employees and the representation of your staff. Because this lack of acceptance can really block projects. And yeah, by the way, we have a huge problem overall in Germany when it comes to digital transformation projects, that many of them are not successful and not finished. That was a study by KfW, not only for manufacturing, but for digital as a whole. We have a pretty high rate of unsuccessful digital projects in Germany. That's something that has to be improved. Yeah, also important to address these acceptance problems is to have quick wins. So we always try to implement small projects and focus then on change management. The second area, which is problematic, are the financial resources. It's very difficult when it comes to digital projects to grasp what's the return on investment. And you typically have high initial investments when it comes to manufacturing. Here it's important that you divide up digital projects into small projects and stage them in steps so that you can take one step after the other and don't have to invest everything at once. Not to forget is many of the SMEs only have one factory and a few machines. And if you do digital projects on the shop floor, this is happening as long as the simultaneously with the day-to-day production. So interruptions to the productions are very costly. So companies are also very cautious when they implement digital transformation projects on the shop floor. Yeah, and one solution we have found to convince the CEOs and to convince SMEs to invest in digital transformation for production, it's to show best practices, show what other companies have done successfully, and also show what they've learned from these projects. So a short overview of my initiative, Mittelstand Digital, has been founded by and supported by the Ministry for Economics. We have now 29 competence centers all over Germany. About 15 of them are working with manufacturing issues. Each competence center consists of experts from academia, from academic institutions, universities, etc. But we also have in every center, we have one partner which is also bringing a business network. Because you need a business network in such a project to align academia with the SMEs, because SMEs are reluctant and don't know about what is happening in the academic world. So you need someone to bridge the gap, and therefore we will have like trades, commerce, and different industry organizations are also part of these Mittelstand Digital competence centers. And an important aspect as well, when we talked about what's the cool new digital technologies for manufacturing, a very important issue is IT security, cybersecurity, and safety issues. And we also have issues like legal issues. We have the new Data Act coming up in a couple of years. It's going to be implemented, and this legal and IT security, cybersecurity are also important issues when we talk about digital manufacturing. Yeah, here you have a map of our competence centers over complete Germany. And what are these centers doing? They provide expert knowledge. So we have information events, we have meetings with SMEs. They can come to the centers. We also have demonstration centers like smart factories and demonstration factories, where the SMEs can look at how digital solutions are implemented. As I said, we also provide best practices. What's the use cases? And we show use cases which has really been implemented in the companies, so that the CEOs then have trust in that these best practices are also working. And very important for the work we are doing are the business networks we have, because CEOs like to hear and know what other CEOs are thinking and doing. They want to see what other companies are doing. That provides proof that the digital transformation is working. So the business networks are used also to reach out to the companies. And this is, according to my point of view, the most difficult thing when you have an initiative like ours, is to actually reach the companies who are out there with your offerings you have as a publicly funded information initiative as we are. So last part of my presentation, I wanted to show some use cases. We have first to look about a little bit what can you do with digital manufacturing. You have flexible production and dynamic production. Here we talk of using data, monitoring and steering your machinery. customer-centric solutions like having a one-lot production, customization of the products so that each customer gets the product he really wants. We have logistics like AGVs and more transparency so that we can companies can reduce their warehouse costs and more efficiency in the logistics. The use of data to provide transparency and predictions about future productions or finding anomalies in the production to improve the quality of the products, for instance. And last but not least, what we are discussing a lot in Germany now is that the legal regulatory space is really driving digitization, because with the new legislation we have on, for instance, the supply chains, Lieferketten-Sorgfaltspflichtengesetz in German, here the companies are forced to provide information about their suppliers. We will in the future also have more transparency with regard to sustainability. This is actually addressing the larger companies, but as the larger companies are forced to provide reporting on carbon footprint, etc., these are also passed on to the SMEs. So the SMEs are also forced to provide much more data, and I think a lot what we here see is about energy consumption and carbon footprint. And here digital transformation technologies with IoT to measure the use of resources is something that is really pushing companies to invest in digital transformation. We had a project where we gathered different best practices, use cases. I wanted to show you 5 of them. We also tried to state which digital maturity the projects had. So from 1 to 5. So the projects with a 1 is projects which are easy to implement and not demanding so much of the companies. And I would like to show a couple of them from the easiest one to more advanced. So here we have best practice from a company called Friedrich Binder. They're producing jewelry, gold and silver products in Baden-Württemberg, 150 to 200 employees. And this was a very basic one where existing machines, which are sometimes very old, they have old interfaces, and the challenge is then to connect them and get monitoring data for these machines. So here in this project, Friedrich Binder implemented digital sensors with IoT technology, and now they can view their energy consumption in real time and recognize when energy is wasted. And this is a very simple way of using digital transformation to improve your profitability and your competitiveness. And really bringing sensors to machinery is so easy because you don't have to change the machines, you don't have to invest a lot, you just add the sensors to existing machines. You connect them to your IT system and start monitoring. So this is something that is small in investment size. You can do it quickly and you can provide things you can see the data very quickly. So this is a good project to start getting the first step from Industry 3.0 to Industry 4.0. Here we have another example, which is a little bit more advanced. 2 or 5, not so very advanced, but waste reduction is a very important issue for a lot of manufacturing companies because waste is expensive and it's not good for your sustainability reports, and it also costs money because you need more resources than necessary. So here we have a company called Stüber. They're also in Baden-Württemberg, a manufacturer of textiles. By the way, Germany is one of the leading companies worldwide in producing textiles, not the textiles we are wearing, but industry textiles and smart textiles, etc. is something where Germany is really well ahead worldwide, with many hidden champions, and Stüber is one of them. And here the idea was that they have in the production, they have the yarns, and they run out in the middle of the process, and textile manufacturers therefore normally change the yarns before their end of lifetime. And therefore they waste a lot of yarn, which is then disposed. And with digital technology, integrating sensors into the processes, can detect the amount of yarn remaining on the yarn, and then they change the yarns only when they are empty and not before. So here you can save waste and then also save costs and have a higher sustainability. And here you also need just monitoring equipment. A third example is Spray. They are producing lifts for buildings. Manufacturer in Schleswig-Holstein in northern Germany, 50 to 150 employees. And they had the problem, and this is a huge problem in Germany, that a lot of people are now going into retirement because of the demographic changes, which was also mentioned at the beginning of this call. And the idea is to use augmented reality to train the young new employees and to transfer the knowledge from the older employees to the younger employees. So here they're using augmented reality to guide the younger employees when they are using the machines and when they are doing repair tasks. So when they see there is a problem with the machine, they can put on their augmented reality glasses and get then instructions on how to repair the machines. These kind of augmented reality projects are a little bit, well, I'm asking myself sometimes if these are the future, because you have a lot of costs for programming the software and getting all the instructions. So this is something which is profitable if you have several employees doing the same task and needs the same kind of training. So the first two best practices I had was about monitoring and measuring, and we had one on on augmented reality. But when you wanted to build a real digital production facility, you want to have an integrated system combining all the machines you have, building a complete model. And here we have an example from Vision Laser Technique. They are using IoT technology. It's a milling machinery technology company. And they optimize the utilization of the machines by putting IoT equipment in all machines, bringing them together in an MES system, and then they use also artificial intelligence to optimize the processes on the shop floor and minimize idle times of the machine. And they also use this system to place new orders. So it's a just-in-time system, and therefore they reduce warehouse costs. And here you can also see it's really getting complicated when you have a lot of machines, because normally in a factory you have machines from different decades with different interfaces, different state of technology, and then you need to retrofit them, put modern connectivity equipment on top of them. And this is costly because you have, sometimes you have to do it for every machine, so it takes a lot of hours to program the interfaces and to bring all the machineries together in one IT/OT system. And the last one I have is the most advanced. For today, it's about digital twins, that was mentioned as well before. And here, of course, you have to do everything we did before on the other projects. You need the IoT equipment, the machine, and then you can start thinking about developing a digital twins. We have a company called Kreinberg, which is very, very advanced, one of the hidden champions in Germany. And they use they're doing then 3D digital twin for their products, which are then used in their CNC machinery. And this shows when you have digital twins, that's when you can start thinking about implementing digital product passports, and show start modeling your whole production and implement a future production facility. But that's more advanced than what most companies have today. So to summarize, I think I'm a little bit over time, but to summarize some things, digital production is something that's for the future. But we have a lot of research still to do, especially the next step when it comes to data lakes, data rooms. And the SMEs are lagging behind, and you have to show SMEs the way forward by, on one hand, show the vision of a future digital production. But for the SMEs, you first need to convince them with small projects, bringing sensor IoT equipment into the production one step at a time. And then you can convince the employees and the CEOs to continue the digital transformation. So start small, in small steps, convince everyone, do a lot of change management, show the usage, and then we will end with a future digital production.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lundborg, for your presentation. So if anyone has questions, please type them in the chat. We will probably, if there are any questions, go to them after we have finished the rest of the program or the rest of the agenda. For now, I would like to hand over to Laura again.
Thank you.
Introduce our IKB.
I think you should see my screen already. Okay, thank you again, Tobias. I would like to introduce the inspiration knowledge base, what we are developing as part of our project. But firstly, I would like to start with a quote from management consultant and educator, Peter Ferdinand Drucker. It's whenever you see a successful business, someone made a courageous decision. So this is exactly what we aim with our project to do. We aim to support companies towards change, towards innovation, so they are better prepared for the future. Basically, besides inspiration knowledge base, this is everything that already has been introduced by our leader from Wust, as you already saw in the presentation about the whole project. But specifically, inspiration knowledge base is already available on the readyforthefuture.eu. So it is not just a regular website about the project, but it is a rather repository of different good practices from 7 countries, covering all 4 pillars: innovation culture, digital manufacturing, open innovation and sharing economy, and last but not least, also green circular economy and sustainability. So it covers all these 4 pillars. So whoever wants to check our repository, they can choose which country they would like to cover or which pillar. And it is all introduced in a very easy to understand manner in different parts. So you always have a description of the certain institution with the description of the challenge that they faced, and also how they solved the problem. Also, if there is evidence of certain success, or if there is a potential for a learning or transfer of the gained knowledge. There is also a website of the institution, and in some cases also there is an interview available, which we did also as part of our project with certain companies. So we believe that this inspiration knowledge base might help improve internal processes of chosen SMEs, and it will help them to innovate in the chosen area. So again, as part of my session will be a Kahoot, so please take your phones and I will start the second session. As we want to gain your feedback on the whole inspiration knowledge base, of course you are welcome to visit the website anytime and also let us know your feedback. Okay, I will wait just a few more seconds and then I will start the session. Okay, the rules are again the same. It consists of 2 questions. One is open-ended and the second is just a simple yes or no. You still have 60 seconds to answer. So far there is none answer. Okay, you still have 20 seconds to answer if you want. Okay, nice, great. And we'll proceed to the second question. Okay, you still have 10 seconds if you wish to answer. Okay, great. Awesome. So very happy that that inspiration knowledge base makes sense to you. I will give floor back to Tobias. That's all from my side.
Okay, thank you, Laura. As Laura mentioned, there are some videos of interviews that are available on our Inspiration knowledge base. And to give you an idea of what these interviews look like, which have been conducted with some of our good examples or best practices that we have discovered in our research, I will show you a short video which will give you a hint of what you can expect on our knowledge base. And it's just a short example of what we have to offer, and you can see the whole videos on our webpage.
My name is Lorenzo Agostini. I am the CEO of Adaptronics, and I am a mechanical engineer with a PhD in emerging digital technologies from Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna di Pisa.
Microtech Südwest is the cooperation and competence network dedicated to intelligent or smart microsystems technology solutions. We are located in Freiburg, in Baden-Württemberg, and at the moment we have more than 100 members from companies over research centers to other institutions like the Chambers of Commerce or other networks.
I measure success in different ways. I measure success how it is seen externally from a point of view, from the company point of view externally, trying to see the perception of the customers regarding the company and the technology that the company provides. And moreover, I try to assess the success of the company also internally, trying to understand the mood of the team in our case.
Osobiście to jest zastosowanie technologii deep learning, czyli głębokiego uczenia maszynowego do analizy obrazu i do kontroli jakości. 5 lat temu udało nam się uruchomić pierwszy duży projekt z użyciem technologii deep learning i w tym momencie to była zmiana zupełnie jakościowa, jeżeli chodzi o efektywność i skuteczność naszych rozwiązań. I to był przełom. Od tamtej pory więcej niż połowa naszych aplikacji i maszyn używamy algorytmów związanych z głębokim uczeniem maszynowym, tak zwanym deep learningiem.
So this was a short glimpse at what we have to offer on our platform. Of course, the videos themselves for the individual companies are much longer, so you can get more information on the companies, on how they achieve their turn into a SME ready for the future. But to introduce a little bit more detail on how we will assess the companies that will take part in our assessment program, I would like to hand over to Paolo, who will present the SMERF assessment methodology and how companies will get an idea of how far they are into transforming into a SME ready for the future. So Paolo.
So thank you very much, Tobias, for your introduction. I'm gonna share my screen right now. Tell me if you see it, please. I think so. Okay, so as Tobias said, my role today is to give you a brief introduction on how are we going to calculate related scores and how are we going to connect questions to actionable actions, actually. So today we are speaking about the second pillar of the four foreseen in our project, which is digital manufacturing. We decided to divide it into 4 specific features, which you can see over here. And for each feature, we had related a precise number of questions that can range from 4 to 6. It depends a little bit on the pillar itself and on the specific feature. And for each question, we foresee 4 possible answers with values ranging from 1 to -1. So these basically are the scores that are going to be recorded after you submit the questionnaire of your company. The questionnaire itself is going to be structured into 2 different steps. The first one, which is thought to be simple and quick, and it will give a general indication of SME's readiness in all 4 pillars. Its output will be a report based on the answers together with a radar chart, which we will see in the next slide, an example of the graphical output. While the second step will take into consideration the answers already given in the first one, and it will deepen in at least one of the 4 pillars, if not all of them. This choice is going to be, the user is going to take this final choice. The output in this case will be the transformation scenarios that we see in the very introduction of this webinar, and specific activities connected to that specific transformation scenario. As said, this is an example of the output that will come out to the first step of the questionnaire. And as said, we are going to collect the scores according to the answers of the specific questions. And after normalization, we will set 3 different ranges, which we decided to call them traffic lights. So we set 3 precise scores that will lead to a red light. Another option is going to be to a yellow light, sorry. And the last option is going to lead for the green light. So for each pillar, we are going to measure for each feature of each pillar if that specific feature got a score within the red probabilities, yellow, and green. So we are going to associate with a basic score, a medium score, or a high score. After that, we are going to link the specific activities that are foreseen within our project to specific pillars coming, specific features coming from different pillars. It is interesting to note that we decided to link more than one feature to more than one activity, since the same activity or different activities can affect anyway different features of the same or even different pillars. So by building a triggering logic, by counting the number of traffic lights related to that specific activity, we can then decide, or the system, the expert system within our tool will then output the activity that is most suitable to the score that you, or better, your company had in our tool. And this is how we plan, at least, to measure the performances of your company. And this is how we are going to help you, if needed, in getting a better score, which means better performances at the very end of the story. So thanks, Tobias. This was my really brief presentation. I don't know if there are any questions.
So for now, it doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat.
Okay.
If you would like to know anything else, you can also, of course, always contact us via our different ways to contact us via the webpage, via our social media. So anything you would like to know, please don't hesitate to contact us, get in contact with us. There will be 2 more webinars coming up. The one actually next week, and we have another one on the 11th of June. But as long as you are registered, you will get an invitation to each of the different webinars sent to you ahead of time. Also, we will send out a short questionnaire asking for some feedback on this webinar shortly, probably this week, shortly after this webinar. And we really would like to know your opinion on how the webinar was structured, if it was okay for you, if the information that you got here was useful. So anything you could give us as a feedback is really important for us. So as there are no questions, I would like to first of all thank Mr. Lundborg for giving his really nice talk here within our webinar. Thank you for being here, giving us the insights of your work and what SMEs are facing and what they can do in the future. Also, thank you to everyone who joined us today, and hopefully see all of you in our next webinar next week. Thank you very much.